Hi, and welcome to The Training Show. I'm Kirsten Kloss. Thank you very much for watching. On today's show, we're going to be talking about industrial operations training. And my guest today is Mr. Dave Defoe. Dave is a certified human resources professional with extensive industry-based human resources and training experience. He's been employed with Learning SI for the past 3 years. Dave specializes in operations, maintenance, and leadership development learning process, with a background spanning more than 30 years in oil and gas and pulp and paper. Dave has keen insights into what is required to effectively train and educate facility personnel to ensure required competency and resulting optimization of plant safety and operations efficiency. Well, Dave, it's great having you on the show today. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you, Kirsten. My pleasure.
So you've been involved in the rebranding of LotusWorks products into this new division here called Learning SI. Can you maybe tell our audience a little bit about that, kind of the connection, and what the new direction is for LotusWorks and Learning SI?
Sure. LotusWorks is a company that's been around for a number of years. And have a variety of services that it offers, that we offer within, all within a kind of an industrial environment. We are headquartered in Ireland. We have about 600 employees in LotusWorks, spread out between mostly Ireland and US and Canada, so North America. LotusWorks specializes in commissioning facilities, construction project management, as well as the training side of the company. Most recently, we've done a marketing study to just see what the demand is out in the industry for our training services. We've been around on the training side of the business for over 20 years under some different names, but still the same company. We've decided to do a bit of a rebrand. So Learning SI actually stands for Learning Solutions for Industry. Again, industry focused. It's a little different twist from training. It is training, but it also goes broader than that and focuses more on individual and operator learning. So it really is a division within LotusWorks.
So how have industrial operations and the companies, how have they had to change in process and overall methodology over the past 30 years?
Well, I think like most things, significantly changed in the last 30 years. The old way of doing things just doesn't work anymore. There's a number of reasons, number of things that have changed that drive that. I guess first and foremost is regulatory. We're always looking to make sure that we have competent people working for us and that we can demonstrate we've done the right things to train them and to become competent so that we cover off due diligence within our companies. It's also around operating efficiencies, optimizing individuals, optimizing operations. Technology just changed considerably, as you all know, in 30 years, and it's the same from an operations end. Technology, just the complexity of what operators are asked to do on any given day has changed dramatically. The old processes of buddy system training never goes away, but there is a strong need to do and go well beyond that. Operators, particularly with what you see going on today, just with demographics. I mean, we're turning over baby boomers, a lot of knowledge and experience going out the door, and we're starting to backfill that with Gen Y. And people are going to be into senior positions and in different positions at a much accelerated rate. So I believe that training and competencies need to follow that trend. Otherwise, companies will be in trouble. And this is about optimizing operations and maximizing people's potential.
So Dave, so what are some recent challenges that training resources face basically in your case? So what are you seeing out there as the major issues?
Well, I think, like I said, just the complexity of training, the complexity of setting up and making sure that people are competent on an accelerated rate. We need to get people in, particularly when you look at what's going on in the oil and gas industry, big demand for resources. Everybody's competing for the same types of resources. less and less experience coming in the door, but you still have a facility to operate. So training is a critical component of that. Um, it's the biggest challenges for training departments and the operations in general is how do you work through that process and do the things that you need to do and basically do the right thing.
So, what are companies like Learning SI doing then to help this process? Give us maybe some examples of how someone might be channeled through this process.
Well, we work. We have generic materials that we market, um, but first and foremost, our resources. When you look at the makeup or the demographics of our company, we have extensive industrial experience, almost across the board, either through an engineering component or hands-on operations people. So we know, we don't know your operation specifically or others' operations specifically, but we know the process of training an operator, what it takes, what they need to know. We specialize in going into and helping organizations develop the specific processes that they need. The process itself can be applied across the board, but equipment and operations within facilities vary, and people need to know how to operate and maintain the equipment that they're working with on a day-to-day basis.
So you actually go in and it's almost like you produce the entire training module set using all of the hands-on knowledge and experience from the staff and the training groups that are already in place. Is that kind of what you do? You go in and you actually engage with them, and they basically just answer to your requirements, and then you come out with a product. Is that how that works?
Roughly speaking, yes. It depends on where they're at within their own training processes. A lot of companies do a pretty good job at it. One of our ways to go into a company would to go in and do a needs assessment. So basically, see where they're at. Compare that to industry best practice. Compare that to what we know, and make some recommendations on how they can improve on that. And in a lot of cases, we end up coming back to do that particular work and satisfy those recommendations. And so we do things that like I said, there can be generic. We have a lot of offerings for industry, what we call our fundamentals, which are anything from electrical instrumentation, hydraulics, lubrication. Operators need to understand the basics of that. We're just going through a major thrust now to turn that into e-learning materials, so we can give facilities the choice on how they want to acquire that information. We also assist and or develop operating maintenance procedures, which is part of the process. We develop specific system modules for their operation, put together operator competency checklists, so that at the end of a training period, the operator knows what they need to know, and that they have demonstrated that they know that, which really equates to competency. We do some work in leadership development as well, which is another key component of certainly optimizing an operation. And so those are kind of the main things that we go into organizations and work with, and we've been doing that, like I said, for 20 years. Number of clients across North America and even global for that matter, more focused in North America. But we go across a variety of industries, whether that's power generation, mining, oil and gas, pulp and paper, manufacturing, food and beverage, wherever there's an industrial process, industrial operators and industrial maintenance personnel.
So you mentioned earlier that you have this needs assessment. Let's just roll it back a little bit before that. So if you're a company and you have an inkling or you have had some issues where you're not really, there's some issues with competency or there's issue with regulation or whatever, what's kind of the first step that they need to take in order to maybe prepare prior to your arrival? And I guess this question actually is more about recommendation. What would you recommend would be the number one first step a company should take when they're in that situation?
As far as what they would need from us, or what we would
in order to
provide.
take the proper first steps.
Right. Well, I think they'd need to basically define what their process is today. How do they train their operators? what documentation do they have? What systems, processes, controls, and or tracking do they have to demonstrate that they're doing the right thing and to know that they're doing the right thing? That's the things that we look at. And again, I mean, a lot of industries are doing a pretty good job at it. Is there room for improvement? Typically, some companies are behind that curve, and you know, it typically manifests itself in some either inefficiency or, you know, hopefully it's not coming out in an issue or downtime. So it can come out in a lot of different ways.
Well, good insight. Dave, thanks very much for joining us on the show today and sharing a little bit about your company and some of the directions that LotusWorks have taken here with Learning SI. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
We've been speaking with Dave Defoe. He is with Learning SI. Now, you can check out their website at lotusworks.com is the parent, but the particular division here is learningsi.com, and go check that out. Our topic today was industrial operations training. I'm Kirsten Kloss. Thank you all for watching. Stay tuned again real soon. Bye for now.